I know I'm a pretty simple guy. Been really lucky to have the chance to have a career. And
In a world where fame and fortune often go hand in hand with lavish displays of wealth, imagine a world where the measure of a person's worth is not determined by the size of their mansion or the number of zeros in their bank account, but by the strength of their character. What compels these A-listers to swap luxury for a life that's refreshingly ordinary? Get ready to chuckle as we explore the quirky choices of Hollywood's most relatable stars who live like they are poor. Keanu Reeves. We have all had dreams of how we would live if we ever got rich beyond our imagination. But here's Keanu Reeves, who is all the riches and still lives a regular life. Keanu Reeves, the Canadian actor known for his roles in iconic films like The Matrix and John Wick, has an estimated net worth of $380 million as of 2024. His wealth primarily stems from a successful acting career that began in the 1980s, with notable films such as Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Speed, and Point Break. However, it was the Matrix trilogy that catapulted him to superstardom, with earnings from the franchise exceeding $200 million across its installments. But if you think it has been all rosy, you've got it all wrong. Reeves experienced a tumultuous upbringing after his father left when he was just 3 years old. Raised primarily by his mother, who had to relocate frequently for work, he faced instability that contributed to his grounded nature. He has endured profound personal losses, including the death of his close friend River Phoenix from a drug overdose and the tragic loss of his partner, Jennifer Syme, who died in a car accident after suffering a miscarriage. These experiences shaped his worldview, fostering a sense of empathy and humility. He has often expressed that such tragedies have made him value life and the people in it more deeply, steering him away from a flashy lifestyle. Despite his immense fortune and tragic moments, Reeves is famously known for his modest lifestyle. He resides in a relatively simple apartment in Los Angeles rather than a sprawling mansion, which is a stark contrast to many of his Hollywood peers. This choice reflects his down-to-earth nature. He often prefers the comfort of a cozy home over the ostentation of luxury living. Rumors suggest that he even shares his living space with a few houseplants, perhaps having heart-to-heart conversations about the meaning of life. When it comes to cars, Reeves is not one to flaunt his wealth. He drives a Honda Accord, reliable and practical vehicle that suits his humble persona. While other celebrities might be seen in flashy Lamborghinis or Ferraris, Reeves opts for a car that won't draw too much attention. It's almost as if he's saying, "I'm rich, but I'm not here to make you feel poor." However, his love for motorcycles shines through with his ownership of Arch Motorcycle, a company he co-founded that specializes in custom bikes. This passion for motorcycles showcases his adventurous spirit while still keeping things grounded. Despite his celebrity status, Keanu Reeves chooses to do things differently. He is not afraid to watch a movie alone and does not chit-chat with random fans. His astonishingly humble behavior has made him a legend. Chauffeur Ronnie Sunshine retold this particular story of his modesty on the New York Post's page 6. According to the driver, Reeves waited quietly outside in the rain prior to his own wrap party for his film Daughter of God in 2014. The driver recalled, "Keanu was really patiently waiting." He continued, "I don't think he said anything to the bouncer like, 'I'm Keanu.' No one recognized him." Keanu looks very ordinary. It was raining, but he just waited for his 2 friends to come. He didn't act like he had money. The club owner later confessed that he had no idea that the actor was waiting outside given his quiet demeanor. Reeves' modest lifestyle allows him to focus on what truly matters, giving back. He has donated millions to children's hospitals and cancer research, often without seeking recognition. His generosity is legendary. For instance, he once gifted a substantial portion of his earnings from The Matrix to the film's crew, ensuring they were compensated fairly for their hard work. When asked about his wealth, Reeves has been quoted saying, "Money is the last thing I think about." This attitude is refreshing in an industry often consumed by materialism. He believes that the joy of acting and the opportunity to work with great artists far outweigh the financial rewards. Jennifer Lawrence. Imagine a Hollywood superstar who, despite her Oscar-winning fame, chooses comfort over couture, and stays refreshingly genuine in a world of polished personas. Jennifer Lawrence, often referred to as America's sweetheart, is known not only for her incredible acting talent, but also for her refreshingly down-to-earth personality. Jennifer Lawrence shot to fame with roles in The Hunger Games and Silver Linings Playbook, where she not only earned millions but also snagged an Oscar at just 22. Being one of Hollywood's highest-paid actresses with an estimated net worth of $160 million is a testament to her hard work and incredible success. But let's be real, if you think she's living like a queen in a castle made of diamonds, think again. After a shocking breakthrough, you'd think the next logical step would be to buy a mansion with 15 bedrooms, install gold-plated toilets, and maybe adopt a pet tiger. But Jennifer didn't go that route. Instead, she lived in the same modest two-bedroom apartment she had before hitting it big. Even when she upgraded, it was to a relatively modest house in Beverly Hills, modest by Hollywood standards at least. Her home was previously owned by Jessica Simpson, but don't let that fool you. It's more charming than ostentatious. One of the most famous anecdotes about Jennifer's modesty involves a couch. After her Oscar win, she decided to treat herself to something nice, a new sofa. But instead of splurging on some designer monstrosity, she spent $25,000. Okay, that might sound like a lot, but in Hollywood, where people blow that much on a night out, it's practically thrift shopping. She's joked about it, saying that it was the most luxurious thing she's ever bought, and that just looking at it makes her feel like she's living the high life. When it comes to cars, Jennifer has also kept things simple. While her peers were zipping around in Ferraris and Lamborghinis, Jennifer was content driving a Volkswagen EOS, a convertible that's more girl next door than Hollywood diva. She eventually upgraded to a Chevrolet Volt, a plug-in hybrid that screams, "I care about the environment and don't need to overcompensate with a fancy car." In an industry obsessed with fashion, Jennifer Lawrence's approach is refreshingly unpretentious. She's been known to recycle outfits, a cardinal sin in Hollywood, like that time she wore the same dress to different events. The horror. She's joked in interviews about how she doesn't really care about fashion and has said that when she's not working, she's happiest in sweatpants, hanging out with her dog. Perhaps the most telling sign of Jennifer's grounded nature is her commitment to charity. She's known for donating significant portions of her wealth to causes she cares about. She founded the Jennifer Lawrence Foundation, which supports organizations like the Boys and Girls Clubs of America and the Special Olympics. In a town where celebrities are often more famous for their extravagant lifestyles than their work, Jennifer Lawrence stands out. She's joked about how she's terrible with money, but maybe that's because she's not interested in blowing it on things she doesn't need. Whether that means eating pizza in her pajamas or spending time with her family in her hometown of Louisville, Kentucky, she remains relatable. While other stars are busy buying private islands or gold-plating their iPhones, Jennifer Lawrence is content living like a regular person. Well, a regular person who happens to have an Oscar and a few million in the bank. But that's what makes her so lovable. She's the superstar who's just as happy on her couch as she is on the red carpet. Climate change. In fact, he's raised over $80 million for charity. You might say he's the Robin Hood of Hollywood, always concerned for the poor. So while he might not be living in a gold-plated mansion or cruising around in the latest sports car, Leonardo DiCaprio is living a life that's richer in purpose, impact, and authenticity. And in Hollywood, that's worth more than all the Oscars in the world. Robert Pattinson. Talk about the brooding heartthrob who skyrocketed to fame as the sparkly vampire Edward Cullen in Twilight. He could have easily gone the route of living in a gold-plated mansion with rooms dedicated to his hair products alone. But instead, he's chosen a path that's much more, well, relatable, and at times, downright quirky. When Twilight hit theaters, Robert Pattinson became an overnight sensation, sending legions of fans, mostly teenage girls and their bemused parents, into a frenzy. With all that fame and fortune, you might expect Pattinson to live like a vampire king, complete with a castle and a fleet of black sports cars. But Pattinson, ever the contrarian, opted for a different route. Instead of embracing the Hollywood lifestyle, he's become known for his charmingly oddball choices, both in his career and his personal life. Pattinson's net worth is estimated at a cool $100 million as of 2024. The bulk of his fortune comes from the hugely successful Twilight franchise, where his base salary for the later movies was $25 million, plus a generous cut of the back-end revenue that brought his total to $40 million per film. In 2011, Pattinson was 15th on Vanity Fair's Hollywood Top 40, with earnings of $27.5 million in 2010. It was also reported that Pattinson earned $3 million for his role playing the titular character in The Batman. As if that was not enough to own the largest mansion on Earth, in 2013, Pattinson was second on Glamour UK's richest UK lads under 30. Britain's London Evening Standard named him one of London's most influential people of 2013. But Pattinson didn't let the money go to his head. He still drives a 2001 Chevy Silverado he bought for $2,100. Another most endearing thing about Robert Pattinson is that he's never taken himself too seriously. After Twilight, instead of jumping into a series of blockbuster movies, he went for smaller indie films that were as far from mainstream as you could get. And his living situation? Well, it's a far cry from the mansions of Beverly Hills. For a time, Pattinson was famously living in a tiny rented house in Hollywood that was more of a converted junkyard than a luxurious abode. The house was described as a quasi-garbage dump, with a hot tub that didn't work, a pool that looked more like a pond, and a general vibe that screamed, "I'm rich, but who cares?" He's talked about how he loved the place because it was hidden away and allowed him to escape the spotlight, a theme that's been consistent throughout his life. And when he bought a Spanish-style mini mansion in Hollywood, it was for a relatively modest $6.3 million. For a guy who's graced the covers of countless fashion magazines, Pattinson's personal style is surprising. He's often seen in mismatched outfits that look like he got dressed in the dark. Beanies, old t-shirts, and unbuttoned plaid shirts are his go-to look. He's been known to wear the same clothes repeatedly, sometimes for days on end. While other celebrities have stylists on speed dial, Pattinson seems content to roll out of bed and throw on whatever's closest. And somehow, he still looks effortlessly cool. And if you think Robert Pattinson's version of modesty is something, just wait until you meet a Hollywood icon who's so down-to-earth, even his coffee has fewer beans. Ryan Reynolds. If you thought Hollywood stars had to choose between fame and humility, Ryan Reynolds is here to prove you wrong. This A-lister somehow balances a blockbuster career with a lifestyle so modest you might catch him driving the kids to school in a minivan instead of a Maserati. But first, let's talk numbers. Ryan Reynolds is worth a cool $350 million, thanks to blockbuster hits like Deadpool and Free Guy, along with some pretty savvy investments. For instance, he co-owned Aviation Gin, which he sold for a staggering $610 million in 2020. You'd think that kind of money would have him living like Bruce Wayne. But Reynolds is more like the guy next door if the guy next door happened to be really, really funny and insanely good-looking. Despite his substantial bank account, Reynolds has a surprisingly modest approach to life. He's not the kind of guy to drop cash on flashy cars or private islands. In fact, he's been seen driving around in a family-friendly SUV, which is about as un-Hollywood as you can get. He's joked in interviews about how he doesn't really know how to spend his money, and honestly, we believe him. While other celebrities are busy buying $100,000 watches, Reynolds seems content with making sure his 3 daughters have a lifetime supply of dad jokes. Ryan and his wife, Blake Lively, could easily live in a mansion so large that it requires its own postal code. Instead, they've opted for a cozy, charming 3-bedroom home in a small town in Bedford, New York, which they bought for $2.3 million. Sure, it's a nice place, but it's more of a family farmhouse than a celebrity compound. They eventually moved to a more spacious $5.7 million house, still in Bedford, where they created a life that's all about family, privacy, and avoiding the Hollywood hype. In fact, Reynolds has said that he's happiest when he's at home with his family, far away from the spotlight. Reynolds' modesty isn't just about his lifestyle, it's a reflection of his personality. He's the kind of guy who enjoys the simple pleasures in life, like trolling his wife on Instagram with hilarious birthday posts or sharing awkward throwback photos. When he's not busy being a movie star, He's making deadpan commercials for his company, Mint Mobile, where he often pokes fun at his own fame and wealth. Even though Reynolds is all about keeping it low-key, he's also incredibly generous. He and Lively have donated millions to various causes, including food banks, COVID-19 relief efforts, and supporting Indigenous communities in Canada. He's not interested in making a big show of his philanthropy. He just wants to help out where he can. And, of course, he manages to do it all with his trademark wit and charm. So while Ryan Reynolds might play superheroes and charming rogues on screen, in real life, he's just a down-to-earth guy who'd rather crack a joke than crack open his wallet. But just when you thought Hollywood couldn't get any more grounded, there's a certain icon who has mastered the art of modesty so well, she makes thrift stores chic look like high fashion.